All right, everybody, welcome back to Cricket Daily. I'm Menners. I'm with Paul Dennett. Hello, Paul.
Hey, Manners.
And we've got a special guest, Fatima, editor of the Popping Crease, a valued member of Cricket Daily. And the times match up much better with this recording, Fatima. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm super glad to be doing this morning my time because I'm much more of a morning person.
Yeah. And you're, a Brit based in South Africa. So I really
Yes.
hate you. There's lots to hate about you.
The feeling's mutual, man. Honestly.
Which cricket team do you support? I mean, you're accredited by Cricket South Africa, but the British accent, who do you support?
Well, I don't support England, that's for sure.
Okay, well, you're growing on me, that's for sure.
No, my first team is South Africa, and then it's kind of Pakistan, New Zealand, West Indies, the underdogs.
Well, where does Australia come into this?
It doesn't.
What? I thought Australia was like one. I thought Australia was everyone's second team.
Not a pom, I tell you that. No, when I was younger, it used to be the team I disliked more out of England, Australia was Australia, so that's why I supported Aussies. But as I've gotten older, I kind of dislike them both equally.
Wow.
So
All righty, well, let's get into it. It's been a good day for you.
You're the perfect person to have on then.
Yeah. So Australia started the day 7th for 343. They went on to get a lead. Well, they made 425. So really good. I should have the score here. What did they make? 425. Yeah. And then England are 2 for 220 at stumps, only trailing by 58. So an incredible fight back. Paul, I mean, did you see something like this coming?
Well, obviously I didn't expect it to be this good, although, and without wanting to encourage gambling again, I saw that early in the England innings, they were 40-1. So I did have a bit of money on them. So I'm kind of supporting them now, actually.
It's such a turncoat. You're like, loyalty can be bought so easy. Sponsors take note of that.
Oh, yeah. Please do sponsors take. I'll advertise anything.
Yeah.
All right, continue. But yeah, it's pretty exciting now. I mean, you would still be much preferred to be in Australia's position, and they probably really should go on to win the game from here. But at least England can take heart from the fact that, as I said yesterday, they did everything wrong. Wrong team, wrong decision at the toss, dropping catches, getting wickets off no balls, missing run-outs. Australia had the best day ever on day one, and yet as we sit here at the end of day three, England are not far away from parity with only 2 wickets down. So they've at least made the game interesting. And so this is kind of what's going to be fascinating for me, because that's my memory of the last tour out here, that England fought well for long periods. And although they lost 4-0, that scoreline probably was a little bit harsh on them. So let's see what can happen here. But yeah, it's good for the Ashes.
Now, Paul, you've got a stat for us going back to the last Brisbane test, and there are some, the one of 2010-11, where there are some really sharp correlations.
Yeah, I mean, so my start of the day is the number 221, because that's how much Australia led by 11 years ago. I can't believe it's that long ago, but England made 260 on that occasion, and Australia made 481. And with that 221 run lead, it was just assumed Australia would have a cakewalk for a win. England then promptly made 1 for 517 declared in their second innings, with Strauss 110, Trott 135, and Alistair Cook 235. So Australia then batted it out and finished up 1 for 107, and it was a draw. So I'm not necessarily saying that England's going to win this game, and I'm not necessarily saying they're going to draw it, but the parallel is there. They were able to get out of the Gabba without a disaster, and they went on famously, of course, to win those Ashes. And they've after those Ashes, they've never won a Test match in Australia since. So, yeah, that's my stat of the day.
Fatima, how have you seen this game from, I don't know how many thousand kilometres away? What do you think of the pitch? No, that's it.
Well, it's the pitch is it's calmed down on day 3. It seems much better for batting now. But I've been really enjoying it. I mean, I woke up that first morning at 1:30 for the toss, and I was still rubbing my eyes, and Mitch Stark bowls Roy Burns around his legs, and I was like, oh my god. It's been a very frenetic couple of days, but I've really been enjoying it. England's fight back today was actually really enjoyable to watch, and just seeing them not buckle under the pressure and really put in a good, solid performance. So I've been really enjoying it, and I'm glad it's going to go into a fourth day.
Yeah, well, terrific day. I mean, you got to say the first 3 days of the Ashes haven't disappointed with the quality of the cricket. So Australia started 7 for 343. Then Mitch Stark was the next play to go, and it was 8 for 391. So Stark and Head put on 85 runs. Stark made a very good 35 off 64. And then Travis Head was the last man out. He was out for 152 off 148 deliveries and a scintillating knock. He continued where he left off yesterday. He took the bowlers on, and Australia got to 425. They had a little bit of a spell before lunch, but they didn't get a wicket. And then it was after lunch they got a couple of wickets. And then it looked like maybe, the game could be over. But Root and Milan put on 159. Root's 86 not out. Milan 80 not out. So Cummins bowled an absolute peach to get Burns. I don't know if you saw that, but that was a corker.
I actually didn't see that. I was still sleeping at that point. Sorry.
You have got just about the hardest time zone. I always the hardest time zone for me is when Australia's in the West Indies and it's midnight till 7. So you're 2 till 9, 2 to 9:30. Given the that's just about that. That's not very easy.
It's especially for someone that gets up really early and goes to bed really early. It proves to be very difficult.
Yeah, that one that Burns got. I mean, I suppose technically he didn't have to play at it because it was a bit wide, but it leapt alarmingly, and it was just a fabulous ball. He'd been given out on the field, LBW, but was reprieved on DRS with the ball just going over the top of the stumps. That would have been a pair, wouldn't it, if that was upheld?
I think so. And then, you're right. That was a high one. And look, that was referred, and it's interesting. A lot of controversy was happening off the field with the technology not all being available for DRS in this match. So there's basically no snicko available for this match, which is separate to the issues of the no ball. So they're not related at all.
Yeah, I was wondering about Snicko firstly, but why aren't no balls being called by the third umpire? I kind of missed that.
I think the technology is just not working, and the part of the problem is because of the border restrictions. They can't get technicians in there from other states to fix them.
And no one in Queensland knows how to do IT.
So there's no Snicko available, and I've heard that I was given some information that Fox Cricket use technology called Virtual Eye, which is very different to what's used around the world in other cricket coverages where they use Hawkeye, the actual probably syndicated product. So apparently that Hawkeye is really good, and I don't know, Virtual Eye hasn't started this Ashes very well. And there was, the people on Twitter were blowing up that in the Ashes you don't have all the technology available.
Yeah, I was blowing up. And so
what? No, not just you, Dennett. You're unhinged today.
What happened to me was that I actually got angry at Menace today, and I apologize for that, Menace. You didn't deserve that. But I heard Ricky Ponting in commentary just before the end of the Australian innings say some words to the effect of they've just been advised, and I think he said that ball tracking temporarily had gone down, and that they'd let Paul Rifle know, the umpire, and that his attitude was kind of bring it on, I'm up for making the decisions on field. But then when Burns was out a few minutes later, they went to the review. So either I misheard it or it was only down temporarily. But the other thing I've heard with the Snicko is there. It's just that they can't put the real-time, marrying it with the making it real-time Snicko. So they've opted to use nothing rather than just Snicko, which I can understand. But that moment today when, was it Milan, that there's a big appeal for caught behind, they scrutinised the hot spot, couldn't really see anything on it. That's one where Snicko is working. You wouldn't need the real-time notion of it because it was either going to be an edge or not. There's nothing else in the way. So maybe deep down in the box there, someone actually does know whether he hit that or not.
So that was a pivotal moment. Hazelwood, a big appeal, they referred it. And on the replays, you couldn't tell if it had hit the sort of toe of Milan's bat. And as you say, Paul, maybe there's someone there. Fatima, what do you think of Milan at 3 and Root at 4? What do you think of their partnership? What do you think of Root's year? I mean, that partnership, we might look back at it, at Hobart when, Root's lifting the trophy, and sort of say that partnership turned the ashes.
Root has been in absolutely sparkling form this year. Sorry. I mean, he struggled. My years are getting confused, but prior to their Sri Lanka tour was the end of last year. He was struggling for form. He wasn't getting the hundreds, and then he got that big double, and then that's it, clicked. Everything just clicked for him. He's like 100 after 100 after 100. So he's been
7 this
fantastic.
year, I think.
It's ridiculous. And I mean, when he came out in the first innings, I said, poor Root on his shoulders yet again, and when he gets a duck, but he's Mr. Dependable. He seemingly can't do any wrong. He gets a duck in the first inning, maybe going to get a century tomorrow. And the partnership today with Milan, I wasn't convinced with Milan at 3. I didn't know if he's a proper test player or not. But this innings he's done really well. They were in trouble. They needed a good partnership. They needed someone to just stay in there with Root. So he's done really well. So I'm impressed with his batting today.
Yeah, Root kind of went from looking like a great player to suddenly on the verge of slipping out of that echelon to now he's clearly the best batter in the world in Test match cricket. And there was that Test match, one of the Test matches in the English summer, where he came out to bat and he's not about naught, and everyone basically just said he's going to get 100 today. It was like a universal certainty on Twitter, and he duly did. It was the most comfortable century I think I've ever seen. Never put a foot wrong.
India, right?
Yeah, one of the tests against, I can't remember which one, because that was when I was watching them all at 2 a.m. and my mind was fried. But I remember just thinking, he's on 6 not out or whatever, and he's going to get 100 because he just looks in immaculate form. He's kind of looked that way in the second innings here.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, this is where England does look dangerous because, Milan and Root have set the platform. We now got Stokes to come in.
Yeah.
Injured Stokes.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But he might be able to clobber a few. That might be dangerous. Beware the injured player. That's another Chappelleism. And then you've got Butler at 7, whose best method is probably to swing. And then you've got the all-rounders. So I actually think that England could set Australia a difficult total. I mean, Fatima, I'll start with you. When does it get difficult for Australia? Do you think, 250 and above, that kind of range? Or do England need more?
What's the weather like in
Forget the weather. Forget the weather.
You can't forget the weather. It's cricket.
Well,
I looked at the forecast, and it's going to be warm to hot, so about 30 degrees.
So no rain.
Not much rain. No, not really. No.
Okay, so 2 full days.
Yes.
They still trail by 50 odd. They're going to need to get at least 200 for it to be a contest. But
200, that's when it starts to get tricky for Australia. But when do you think it starts to sort of shift towards England?
Over to 270 then.
Yeah. What do you think, Paul?
What was the SCG Test match of 93-94? 104 we couldn't chase down against South Africa. I think that's for me.
Don't remind me. Yeah. I was there.
I was there on day one, but yeah. The thing is, as you say, Menes, and there's plenty of opportunity for commentators tomorrow to say this is a big session. The first session tomorrow, if I was in commentary, that's what I'd definitely be saying. The game is on the line in this session here, because if Milan and Root can bat to lunch and walk in at lunch with a lead of 30 or 40, and then as the afternoon unfolds and a couple of wickets fall down, Stokes comes out, plays his shots. Pope is an aggressive player. As you said, Butler and Wokes, Robinson, they can all when they've got a license to hit. I can see a nightmare scenario for Australia of after tea, Wokes cracking boundaries through the covers for fun as the lead.
Like when Pryor scored all those runs 10 years ago.
Yes. I sort of expunged that from my memory, but I can just about watch it in the depth.
But also, Mark Wood he gave South Africa a bit of a tapping as well, so he can also slog it quite a bit.
Yeah, he can play some very elegant shots as well, Mark Wood.
So I sort of agree with that range. I think if it's around 200, despite the fact that Australia could wobble, I think 200 on that pitch should be okay. But once it gets sort of close to the 300, I think it's anyone's game. You look at the top order. Harris is a walking wicket. Warner's injured, so we could be 2 for not many. And then the pressure's on Smith and Labuschagne, and Head has to do it in 2 innings. Green coming off a shocker in the first inning, so it really is there for England's taking now. I mean, as you say, Paul, if they start well in that first hour and don't lose a couple of early wickets, by lunchtime they could be in the ascendancy. 50 ahead, 8 wickets in hand, motoring away.
Already on CricViz, Australia's chances, which were basically 100%, have dropped down to 75%. And, to have thought that last night that we'd be sitting here tonight saying that Australia has a 1 in 4 chance of not winning this game, according to the experts, is quite extraordinary. The draw that they've got at 16% and England at 9%. So England a 1 in 11 chance, whereas yesterday most people would have said they were about a 1 in 11,000 chance. So, yes, it's interesting. And Warner, bruised ribs, not broken, so he probably will bat. Hazelwood, is he injured? Why didn't he bowl? He only bowled. I just saw it was a good prompting from Jay Dutcher there. What happened to Hazelwood? I see you starred that, Minister, to mention it later. But why the only 8 overs for him? That's unexpected.
Yeah, very unexpected. All right, so I'm going to do my good day, bad day. So good day, I'm going to give it to Travis Head for his stunning 152 off 148 deliveries. Hard to go past him for the good day award. Bad day award, I'm going to give it to Nathan Lyon. Because the poor bugger has been on 399 wickets since before Y2K was a thing. So, it's really frustrating. I don't think he's ever going to get there. I think he'll just keep bowling now for eternity and never get another test wicket. So
now that you've said that's going to get it tomorrow, so don't worry.
So bad day line, poor bugger. And then, look, you get a bit of mad manners because I am flipping furious that news has broken that they are going to have the 5th test at Bellerive Oval or Bloodstone or whatever they call it. I don't care what they call it. It shouldn't be there. They're going to play a day-night test in Hobart to finish the Ashes with, as Shane Warne was going ballistic on Fox Cricket, saying that in the history of cricket in Tasmania, the most they've ever got for one test match is 29,000 people in the whole test match. And Warren's right. You could get that in one bay at the MCG. I mean, this is a disaster. I said, Joe Root's going to be holding the Ashes up, where he's going to have bowled Australia out for 60 under lights with the pink ball. Everyone will be looking at each other, and I'll be there flipping out because I could see it coming. So that's my mad manners. F the people that made this decision.
Well, there's quite a few things to unpack there. Firstly, just while you were doing that, I was trying to do maths in my head and I couldn't do it, so I did it on the calculator. But Ricky Ponting made the point that this summer, and I hadn't realised this, it crept up on me, this summer that Nathan Lyon's Sheffield Shield, he's taken 4 wickets at an average of 62.75. When you factor in today, he's now taken 4 wickets at 80 for the summer. So, look, he may well bowl Australia to victory tomorrow, but concerning signs for him. Your point around Hobart is kind of twofold. One, you don't want it to be there because you think Australia under lights in Hobart, that sends an advantage to England. I think you would have played the 5th test at Alice Springs in the middle of the afternoon.
Red Ball, Sydney or Melbourne. Red Ball, Sydney or Melbourne.
But the thing with Tasmania is that when people quote the figures, you've always got to look at it 2 ways. One, as a percentage of the Hobart population, their crowds are fantastic because they've only got 250,000 people. So if they get 29,000, that's more than a tenth of the population turning up. That'd be like 600,000 turning up to a Melbourne Test match. So it's not a criticism of the people of Hobart to say that their crowds are poor. They turn up in great numbers. It's just that because it is a small city, then the possibility of getting the big crowds is not so much there, and the ground itself doesn't seat so many. I think it'll be a lovely test match. If the world was normal, I'd love to go down there and watch it. It'll be great crowds for the size of it.
Nice.
No, wait. There's a punch coming. Wonderful atmosphere. And I have I can't be sad for I'm happy for the people of Tasmania.
I'm not. But I'm actually not happy for them. Continue.
I just think it's a mistake.
They don't deserve it, do they, Manners?
No.
I just think it's a mistake when there's an opportunity. If it was 2-2 at the MCG, first test match ever under lights at the MCG, as I said the other day, they might get 70,000 day 1, 60,000 day 2, 50,000 day 3. That's what you want. It's the grandstand finish deserves that. Now, that's where I'm coming from. And so nothing against the people of Tasmania or the people of Hobart. I think they do deserve Test cricket, but I think a decider of the Ashes needs the biggest ground. Note, I'm not even saying Sydney, my home ground. I'm saying Melbourne for the bigger capacity. So I tend to agree with you, Manners, but not quite as fired up, I suppose.
I resent the decision. Fatima?
Can I just say that the last test at Hobart, you guys lost by an innings against South Africa. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, that was when Australia cricket basically exploded from that point onwards.
Yes.
Thank you for reminding us. They were bowled out for 85,
Pleasure.
and Callum Ferguson's brother was famously watching his brother was caught on camera like walking off in a huff after his brother got run out.
Because he'd flown from England. Because they'd put Ferguson in at the last minute. His brother flew all the way from England, got there, got a cab to the ground, and the first thing he saw was his brother getting run out. And then his brother's stormed out of the ground. And that's 25 hours of torture to see that. And it was you had to laugh, but yeah.
Poor Callum never played another test match.
Yeah, I did back South Africa in that game as well. But anyway.
All right, Paul, stop showing off. Fatima, so am I right to be worried? You've seen Jimmy Anderson with the swinging ball. So now he's rested from the first test. That means for 50% of the rest of the Ashes, Anderson is going to have a pink ball against the Aussie batting lineup. I'm backing Anderson.
Yeah. I do think it was a mistake to not play Anderson and Broad. It's the first test of the Ashes. You go with your best 11. I don't care about workload. Think about that later. It's the first test. I just think it was silly not to go in with them.
Yeah.
It didn't look right opening with Wokes. I'm sorry. I think Wokes is a great cricketer, but it didn't feel right seeing him bowl the first over for England. I don't know. It just didn't seem right to me. So, but yeah, and Anderson.
You just love Jimmy.
No, man. The Jimmy Stain argument. I'm Stain all the way every day. But
is there an argument? Of course, Stain is better. Anyone who argues. But I mean, as a little aside here, as much as Jimmy Anderson, wonderful cricketer, most prolific Test cricketer for England ever, and his average keeps on going down. He's now averaging about 26 or something like that. You can't just judge it on the number of wickets only. You've got to look at the average, and you've got to look at other figures. For a while there, Alex Stewart was the most prolific batsman England had ever had. Was he their best batsman ever? Of course not. No one was saying that. If you're picking the all-time best England 11, I don't pick Cook and I don't pick Anderson. I don't say that with grudges towards them, but they're just other players. They've got a proud history, and other players are better. And Stain versus Anderson, it's just, that's a ridiculous notion. Of course, Stain's a better bowler.
Thank you.
That shouldn't be controversial. Menace,
it's not controversial. It's normal. I mean, you'd have Stain. You might not even have Anderson in your world 11 at the moment. Well, look, that's it for the Cricket Daily, the third day from the Gabba. Fatima, any closing thoughts on where you see this test going? Who are you backing from here? Who are you backing to win or lose? Or
honestly,
draw?
I don't really mind.
Okay. Well,
I don't really care.
That's the Jalisa answer.
What I do want is to finish on day 4 so I can sleep on day 5.
Well, okay, good, selfish. I like it. Paul, I made Fatima make a call from here. So who are you backing from here?
Obviously, I think Australia's going to win, but that's without anywhere near the certainty that I had in the earlier days. And I can't lie, I'm cheering on England now. I know that's a horrible thing to say, but I've got to be honest on this show. 40-1 is pretty good odds. Para Eel says, I feel Smith didn't have a good innings, out for 12, and Cameron Green out for a golden duck. Smith, it's going to be very interesting to see that both of them in the second innings. Australia really should be able to chase down whatever England set them. But as I said, we've got a pretty ordinary record of fourth innings chases. And I don't think this pitch is necessarily, it's flattening out a bit, but they're talking about divot marks in there from the first couple of days. A couple of balls have started to spin. I'll tell you what, kudos to the ground staff to have had Brisbane underwater for a month. So far, it's a fantastic test pitch.
Well, Paul, you and I both backed England before the game, so I'm sticking with that. I'm thinking England are going to win from here. I think, under pressure in the fourth innings, we won't be good enough. And Captain Cummins...
Sorry, Stokes, they say Stokes and Robinson are fit to bowl, but really are they?
That's an issue.
It's interesting because both Stokes and Root have got hit on the knee, I think. And in some ways, I think Stokes' knee's really sore, but maybe it's not... I'd rather that than a like obviously a hamstring pull or a knee, a proper damaged knee. If it's sore, Stokes is the kind of guy I think that will probably just get through it. And Menners, can we separate backing from predicting? Because you didn't back England at the start of the game. You predicted they'd win. I just want to have that delineation quite clear.
The punter had to clarify
Yes.
the terms.
Exactly. No, not for not being a pedant, which I am, but that wasn't the
look,
reason.
my
Just so that
personal
people-
pride is more important than finance. So putting my pride on the line is like, it's like backing myself. I'm backing
Yes,
myself
exactly.
again.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm the same.
All righty. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Thanks everybody for watching. Fatima, thanks so much for joining us from South Africa.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Fatima. It's
Brilliant.
been great. Let's do it again.
Yes.
Yeah, Paul, thanks for joining us from DY or wherever you live. Bye.